Let's go.
Sorry, I'm just going to record it as well. I just forgot to do that from the beginning.
Yeah, let me just get this. Can I do the slideshow? I have to escape the full screen before I can share that. Hang on. Okay. Oops, why is this slideshow not working? Here we go. Right, here we go. So ultimately, your needs right now are you need more feet through the door, and that's guests as well as staff. There is a huge hospitality crisis, we know, a staffing crisis. So you need improved occupancy, you need people to stay longer. That's also guests and staff. And you're looking to increase your RevPAR. And like everywhere, you're wondering how on earth you're going to go about this. Things we're hearing from our clients and contacts in the industry say, well, UK is so expensive. Why would anybody come from overseas domestically? Well, borders overseas, they are starting to open up. The international inbound travel is trickling through. Traditional markets such as China is not going to come back for 3 years realistically. US is going to come back. That's going to be the strongest one going forward. France is also eager to come. Some of the European ones, Middle East, but from other Southeast Asian countries as well. You're going to see a lot more Asians come through, but also the huge expat community over there that have not been able to come back and see loved ones for over 2-3 years now. So they're just starting to come back. We're hearing that people, if they increase their prices, they're going to lose their loyal customers. Well, that's happening everywhere, so that's not an excuse. Then they say, well, we need new brand experiences, but just adding little changes is not going to cut it. You can't move a dresser in a guest room anymore and make that a workspace and think that that's going to solve that problem and you're going to get that work in the travel market. People do recognize lipstick on a pig. They are savvy. It's got to be radical. And our guests, our clients come to us, we do say we are home of the brave because we are radical. It's not just little small fixes that are going to work. You have to find new customers looking for a unique experience. And that means really re-looking at who your source markets are, what your product offer is, and who your competitors are, because it's all changed. You can't just repackage the old. And I get really frustrated when I go to some of the new trade exhibitions that are great to start up again, but they're offering exactly the same as they were before the pandemic. And then they're wondering why it's not working. Why are they not getting the pickup? It's changed. People's expectations of a destination and a place has changed, and how they're interacting it has changed. And that's really what we're going to be looking at today. As I mentioned, we released in February this year a white paper. And as white papers are, it's long. It's a bit of an Oscar Wilde. I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote you a long one instead. But we're going to do the short version today. So as I mentioned, right now, you need to be rethinking who your competitor set is. Doing the same as pre-pandemic is not going to work long term. You've got new needs of travelers. You need to reevaluate your USPs. I'm going to say straight up, sustainability is not a USP. That's an expected element that needs to drive through every aspect of your communication right now. People just think that's a given. It's not enough to say, oh, we recycle everything. It's got to be ingrained into everything you do, as if it's second nature, and that's how you win over. But don't claim it as a USP. That ship sailed a couple of years ago. So where do you find all this new demand? How do you tap into it? Where do you get it? If you're not already using the Visit Britain sentiment trackers and research, that is a key place to start. These started at the start of the pandemic and lockdown 2 years ago. And they evaluated what people were wanting to do, what they were, where they were going, where they intended to go, who they were traveling with, what they wanted to do when they got there. And that changed, and they tracked it over those years. They just released one, as you can see, on the 24th of June, the latest one. They come out, if not every month, it's sort of every 2 months. And it's a really great insight as to where the demand is. And you can follow the trends, you can follow that quite literal sentiment, and you can start to really analyze it and tailor your product to make sure that you are speaking to those needs. So the first few slides, I'm actually just going to go through that latest one with you, so you can have a look and see how to analyze it and what they're looking at. So the good trip is staycation. The good news is staycation is here to stay. Overnight trip intentions, they're still there as compared to overseas. Yeah. And you can see here, so June, that's already kind of sailed, but look at July. These are the intentions. And so a lot of those are not yet booked yet. Same for October to December. We know low season, January to March, and then no plans. They're irrelevant anyway to us here today. But again, here you can look at that loyalty, that recommendation, and where you can tap into. They're going to take more. They're going to take about the same. Some will take fewer. I'm not sure yet. Compared to overseas. So you can see that staycation domestic market is considerably higher, sometimes double, to where they're going to go overseas. And for sure, some of the recent travel delays at airports is influencing that. And that's a huge opportunity. As you can see here, the top 5 reasons for UK preference. It's easier to plan, avoiding the long queues. UK holidays are cheaper, so back to that excuse of it being more expensive doesn't hold water. Shorter, quicker travel is key. Time is really precious now still. And uncertainty around restrictions overseas destinations. Some places are still stronger than others with the restrictions. I was in Scotland over the weekend, and I'd almost forgotten that they've still got some of the restrictions in the hotels compared to here in the UK, in England. So, and that's just here in the UK, but other destinations, they're still, they're not as relaxed as we are here. And people are enjoying that. And then you've got to look at who is this, who's traveling? And again, the Visit Britain research really taps into this, and this is an opportunity for you to make sure that your offer is speaking to these people. I just got my slides mixed up here. So that you're resonating with that audience who are traveling, who are not affected by the rising costs of living, who are not really concerned about the rising costs of fuel, whose personal finances are still okay, and it's not an influencing factor that deters them from saying, book now, yeah? And then it's a real opportunity here. I call this a bit like the pointless effect. The ones at the top, they're not going to be affected by it. The opportunity at the bottom is where they're saying they will still spend on this. It's not going to affect them. So this is where you can tap into. They're going to still stay. They're going to visit fewer attractions. No, that's not the case. They still want the maximum out of their stay. They're staying with friends and relatives. We'll go on to that a little bit later, because although they think that's not going to affect them, it actually is. And more shorter trips. So all of those bottom elements there are where the opportunities are for you to make sure you've got your offers, your stays, your vouchers, your book now, addressing all of these elements. And just to substantiate this, it shows you there is hope. So look at all those people that have no plans but would like to go somewhere, whether that's in the mountains, the countryside, rural coastline, traditional coastline, small city or large city. It is huge. No plans but would like to go. Those are your intenders. They have not made their mind up. They are looking for a reason to book and to go somewhere. And you've just got to find that reason, which is what our white paper was all about, looking into consumer behaviour trends. So we've analysed, and this is what we do continuously in order to service our clients, is look at trend hunter surveys, consumer indexes, World Tourism Travel Council reports, Visit Britain. Obviously, it's what we analyse every day to make sure we are on track with what we're recommending. And we've come up with 3 reasons that are motivators for people to travel. Reunions are still on the cards. They had the first wave of visiting immediate family, then it's the in-laws, and now it's friends and family as well. They're looking for experience. The whole experience economy was taking off pre-pandemic. It is even more so now. And then there is a community element, and that's a virtual and hybrid community looking to meet in real life now. So we're going to go through some of those now. Wholesome reunions. I'm sure everybody on this call has seen a change in their family and friends and relatives' lifestyles over the last 2 years. There's a lockdown dog has come into the picture. Your home living accommodation has changed. What was the spare bedroom is now the home office. There is also a psychological barrier into entering somebody's home, and rising cases of COVID are still around. So what previously was one of the biggest drivers of demographics to visit, certainly Yorkshire, but also nationally, was visiting friends and relatives, what's called the VFR market. That needs a new home now. As I mentioned, that second office has become, the second bedroom has become the home office, and at least one of you has a dog, if not 2. And the thought of 2 dogs around the house is not going to happen. So group bookings, if you're a hotel or a restaurant, make sure you have an offer for groups that are multi-generational, that speak to those needs. And if you're going to say you accept pets, make sure that you have a difference between accept pets and pet friendly. Because if you're just pet friendly, then it means you have probably a dog pillow, you have dog biscuits, you have a dog menu, you have everything that is almost like taking a children's play area, but customizing it for the dog. Yeah, that is being pet friendly. They expect you to go full out and treat their pet as royalty. If you accept pets, then it's not so much the case. The expectations are much lower. You say, yeah, okay, we don't have the facilities, we're not really set up, but it's okay if you want to bring them. And with that comes a huge difference in the price point. Because if you are pet friendly and you've gone all out for that, you can charge, and they're willing to pay for that. But if you say accept pets, then it's maybe just a nominal fee for an extra cleaning rate. But make sure you have that difference, because it will lead to either more guests or more satisfied guests, one way or the other. Yeah. And make sure that everything is on your website. I've taken here a restaurant that I work with in Asia, actually, it was in Bangkok. It was a small space, but they have customized it for exactly that multi-generational gathering and the different needs. So if you have a pub or a restaurant or a room in your facility that you can change to do that, really look at how you can adapt it to meet the needs of the travelers. Again, thinking that multi-generational reunions, what are they going to want to do there? And they're willing to spend on this, make it an experience for them. So immediately on their website, they've got the shop online, the restaurants, and the private table element up here. That was new for them. What does that mean? They've made it an event. the perfect venue to host your events. Okay, suddenly a family reunion is not just a dinner, a gathering together. It becomes a bit of an event and a celebration, an inviting place that you want to go. And immediately you've drawn in, it's a private chef farm table, you know what it is, you're a little bit curious, and it's an event for all kinds. And you've got then the facilities, really key elements. So it's not about reinventing the wheel here, it's just adapting what you've got, maybe putting a new tire on something, pumping a bit of air into the tire. It's not a huge change in what you're already offering. The second need or motivator is experiences. So as I mentioned, pre-pandemic, there were already shifts to this market. 72% of the millennials were looking at demand for live events versus material. And then that shifted to virtual events. But now there's the hybrid space of combining that virtual with the hybrid one. And it is a multi-million-dollar economy now that we're looking at here. It's an opportunity for your space, but also what experiences have you got on your doorstep that you can combine with? Just the location isn't cutting it anymore. You have to offer something different, and it can't be a lipstick on a pig element. Okay, so here again, back to the Visit Britain reports, you can see what are people looking for. They want city life. Well, what does that mean if you've got a pub? They want to visit museums and galleries. Are you making sure that you have these elements listed on your website? Can you offer these as vouchers through your venue? Can you combine this into an offer that makes it attractive to choose your staying with you or visiting your place over somebody next door? And it's great to see here experience pubs, bars and clubs higher in the UK than abroad as one of the experiences they're looking for. And again, there are elements of what people's perceptions are post-pandemic of the UK and what they're looking for. Again, thinking of the international market, because even though it's going to take time for that international market to come back, their lead time for booking is also longer than your domestic market that is wanting it now. Your lead time is probably anywhere between 6 and 12 months now for the international market. So they're shopping now. So even if you're not addressing that and getting the click-throughs and those feet through the door now, you're in that consideration phase if you've got this up on your website as part of your offering collateral. Oops. So as an example of this, when I was a general manager at a hotel, I was in the national park, Yorkshire Dales National Park, in the middle of nowhere, and they were gunning to get the dark sky status, and they asked me to put on a stargazing night in February, which had me pretty much tearing my hair out, thinking, oh my goodness me, how on earth am I going to attract people to come to the Yorkshire Dales in February when it's rainy and cold to look at stars? Little did I know that there is a whole community that is willing to do exactly that. And they traveled between 2 to 4 hours to come and stay with us in February and listen to an astrologer who took them out. And on one night he was able to go through the telescope, another night it just poured down and rained and rained and rained, and it was on a projector in the room, but they still loved it. And I had an excessive demand and I didn't know what to do with it. So we had a riding centre on our doorstep, and we created full moon trail rides. And all of a sudden the horse riding thing became an experience that was quite unique. And over 3 months, and it increased our low season occupancy from November through till May during those days. And we were attracting a completely new clientele. And it was about tapping into that new market with new experiences. We were getting Korean students studying in London coming up for this. We had Arab ladies coming over from Manchester who wanted to do it. They just wanted that experience of riding a horse by moonlight through the countryside. And then they stayed 3 nights. And that then became a monthly thing, and it was booked out every time. Another one we had, again, just looking on your doorstep, we had a trout farm right next door. So we created a 2-night stay, catch and cook package. They would arrive, go fishing for half a day, bring 2 trout back, chef cooked it for their evening meal the next night, and they were off. And that was one of our most popular packages. So again, it's not about reinventing the wheel, it's looking about what is on your doorstep and how can you make it a new brand experience that will tap in to a new audience looking for experiences. Again, analysing, looking at those Visit Britain sentiment trackers. What are people looking for? What's on your doorstep? If you're in a city, Peloton are really proactive right now, going out looking to work with hotels, because they've realised that during lockdown, that demand surged, but not everybody was able to afford a Peloton, or if they do, they want to take it with them and travel. So the gyms, or pre-written now gyms are starting up in hotels with Peloton, and that whole Peloton experience is becoming part of the stay experience, and it is proving to have some resonance with guests. So whether it's in your hotel room or it's on your doorstep, experiences are becoming part of that placemaking definition and where your role in that is. And it's really key that if you haven't been speaking with your local tourism organisation, destination management organisation, it's worth now picking up that conversation and finding out what you offer, what they have, and how they can help you market that to a new audience out there. On a brand level, I've taken NH Hotel. Sadly, I can't take the credit for this, but love to, because I think that what they have done is absolutely brilliant, and how they have taken the experience elements and made it a brand definition for them. So they've taken, it's the NH collection, and if you go on to Feel the Extraordinary, you're already quite curious, what does that mean? And then you click into that, and there are experiences, there are the touches, there's the dictionary is all about wording in the areas and how to immerse yourself in that country. I was curious immediately about the Voyager elements. And again, I highly recommend tapping into this, because it's a perfect example of how you can take a new brand experience, again, looking at a new audience with something that is completely different. It's not about repackaging the old, but it will attract a new clientele through you. And then the different experiences, they've got gastro hotels, they've got tech hotels, culture and art hotels, really appealing then immediately to a certain interest, and you're going to get like-minded people through. Which brings me onto a community. So through lockdown, communities transpired. They were already there in the virtual world, but they became more sort of interest-based. And it was the only way to connect for a long time. Even grandparents went on Zoom. But what happened was that virtual tribes then started to gather and work together. And physical spaces then went virtual, whether it was in your own office, that everybody was working from home, or interest-based. So there we had and I'll share this presentation, but also you can download our white paper on this, where the links to the reports that we analysed for this are through there. So Megatrends reports here is saying that, you know, it's enormous growth for the travel industry if you tap into this, because they've had 2 years of working and meeting in a virtual space. They want to take that virtual space into real life now, and it becomes a hybrid of virtual and real, and it's how to tailor that. So There's still communities in action in the home. Six Senses is a hospitality brand that did a fantastic job very quickly to reach out to guests. It was Six Senses at home. They had their tutors, their yoga practitioners, wellness, their chefs giving natural nutrition advice. And they did really manage to tap into that loyalty and increase that through the pandemic, and now they're seeing a surge in demand for their with new clients looking to go there. You've also got quite an alarming percentage of Generation Z that are struggling to feel connected, and this is from a Microsoft study, which is a bit of an oxymoron because they actually love that virtual world, but they want that physical connectedness as well. And a travel company called Remote Year has turned this into an opportunity where people that were of a like-minded interest meeting virtually, you can actually travel with them and work while you are traveling with them on a tour in real life, but carry on that virtual working relationship as well. So for brands and destinations, there's huge opportunities here to tap into, and it's just about finding what you can offer to those that are looking. So look on your doorstep. So the painting here on the left is just a reminder to sort of say, well, you've got things on your doorstep. Look at how can you package them? How does it appeal to those needs for people to travel, and how can you combine it into an offer that is bookable on your website? The top right, I park like a twat. Well, it doesn't mean to say you're bad at parking anymore, but there are behavioral changes, and if it's anything like where our office is, the parking spaces are busier on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Twat. And that's because that's what the new office routine is. Monday to Friday doesn't exist anymore. 4-day weeks, it's verging in that way. But currently, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, when people are going in and commuting or in the office, and if you're in a city, Thursday is the new Friday. That means, Wednesday is now Tuesday's hump day. So tailor your offers around that, knowing when they're going to be coming in. And it also means that leisure market, and I personally don't particularly like the term bleisure, but it is business and leisure. That blend of it, it's now went Friday through till Monday. It's that extended weekend now for 4 days, and people can work from there. So make sure that you have that ability for the guests to work from your space. And that they can use that Friday through till Monday, and then go into the office on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So really think again, come back to your offer, shift that thinking of when the customer is traveling, and tailor it to them. And then finally is the MICE. So meetings back to that wholesome reunions applies to your working space as well. People have been working remotely, new teams, they need to get together. It's a little bit like The Apprentice, but for grown-ups. And if you create a MICE meetings concept around that makes yours very different to the regular flip charts in a room. They want it interactive. It's about getting to know new colleagues, getting to know strengths, team building, but in less cringy ways. And that's something that we're working with a lot on our clients. Incentives, keeping people to stay with you. You can see, what employment packages are going up. What can you offer bigger employers that will help incentivize their workers to stay with them and work with you as well? Conferences are back, but by no means any volume as they were previously. The same with exhibitions. Everything is scaled down smaller. So if you hadn't previously thought yourself as a conference and exhibition destination, that might have changed because as I said, it's scaled down a bit now. And it may be that you have a venue that is suitable for that, or you can pair up with a venue that is suitable. And together you've got a really enticing, exciting offer. If you can get all of these together, reunions, experiences and community, then be bold, be drastic, and it does pay off. Again, as I mentioned, lipstick on a pig is recognizable. You have to have a new brand experience that will tap into a new type of clientele and speak to their needs and desires and motivations, and ultimately go for a call to action that says, book now. And my final slide for today is the hospitality crisis in terms of staffing. It needs a collective effort. Everybody can have their own silo expression on how to get talent through the doors. But if you haven't yet heard of Hospitality Rising, it's something that we're working on together with Mark McCulloch, who started this and is driving it forward to change that perception and make it a really exciting industry to work in, as we know it is, and the opportunities for that. And for just a pledge of £10 per employee, you can get involved in that campaign. So please do look that up, Hospitality Rising. And that's it. So I hope I've given you a bit of an insight into where to tap into new interest, new demand, how to create some offers, some considerations that will ultimately lead to a rise in your room bookings. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take those.
No, silence. I'll pop this, I'll share this recording with you, Liz, as well, in case you want to share it with anybody else. But that was really good. Thank you for that. Okay, great. Thanks everybody for joining. And yeah, give me or Liz a shout if you've got any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.